Hey everybody, welcome to the night class once again. Your host, Coach Knight, going to take you through our Honors Algebra 1 Chapter 8 review. Chapter 8 dealt a lot with quadratics and their graphs, so we're going to get started right away. Alright, so number 1, what are the coordinates of the vertex of the graph or table? Is it a maximum or a minimum? So, to do this, very simply, the vertex is where it starts changing direction. So there's my vertex right there. I just label that point. The vertex, that is 2, -2. And to answer, is it a maximum or minimum? That is the lowest point it will be, so it is a minimum. Number 2, same type question, just they give it to us as a table. So we're looking for the point where it changes direction. So as you can see, it goes from 1 to -2, that's going down. -2 to -3 is going down. -3 to -2 is going up. -2 to 1 is going up. So this point right here in the middle, that would be my vertex, because that was where the change happened. -2, -3. And since these numbers here are bigger than this one, this is also a minimum. Okay, this is the lowest y ever gets is -3, so it's a minimum. If it had been the greatest or the biggest y had ever gotten, it would have been a maximum. Number 3 and 4, order them in order from widest to narrowest graph. So basically, the bigger your a is, and again, all of these are written in y equals ax squared form. So the bigger your a is, or the more, the bigger it is compared to 1, the narrower it is. So we're going from widest to narrowest. So we're looking for the smallest a to the biggest a. So in this one, our answer would be y equals -2x squared, and then the next biggest would be y equals -3x squared, and finally the next one would be -4x squared. And remember, the negative doesn't have anything to do with that. We're just talking about the numbers that are a. Okay, the negative is what reflects it. It doesn't have anything to do. The negative doesn't have anything to do with it being narrow or wide. For number 4, our smallest, again, would be smallest a would be the widest. So let's see here, that's point, I'm changing these to decimals. That would be 0.75 and 1.5 and -2.5. So they are actually in the right order. So y equals 3/4 x squared, and y equals 3/2 x squared, and y equals -5/2 x squared. Nothing to change on those. Those were already in the right order. Number 5 says, what is the rate of change for the interval between a and b? So rate of change is simply your slope. So from a to b, we are just going to do the slope, rise over run. 1, 2, 3, up, and run 1. So my rate of change equals 3. 3/1. It's 3 up, 1 run, so 3/1 is 3. Number 6 says, over what interval is the function increasing? Over what interval is the function decreasing? So, increasing. Increasing means it is going up, and decreasing means it is going down. So, as you can see here, it goes from -16 to -4, that's going up, to 0, still going up, and then to -4, back to negative. So it's going up from -2 to 0. So -2 is less than or equal to x less than or equal to 0, and it's going down from from 0 to +2. So 0 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 2. You'll always use the less thans as long as you put your numbers smallest number to biggest number. Okay. Number 7. What steps transform the graph y equals x squared to y equals x minus 3 squared minus 5? So this is basically 2 steps. It's translated, and the negative 3 means it's translated right 3, and the negative 5 means it's translated down 5. And that's all there is to that one. Number 8, identify the vertex and axis of symmetry of the graph, or of the graph of the function y equals y equals 3 times x minus 3 squared minus 2. The formula for standard form is what they've given us here. That is your formula. So we're just looking for the vertex, which is h and k. So the vertex is positive 3, negative 2. Remember, you change the sign of what's on the inside. Okay. And the axis is always x equals the x part of the vertex. So x equals 3. So vertex is 3, negative 2. Axis is x equals 3. Make sure you put the x equals. It is a line, therefore you have to write the equation. Number 9, identify the maximum or minimum value and the domain and range of the graph of the function. So whether it's a max or min will be... I hit the wrong button. Sorry about that, guys. Let me come back to where I was. I was here. Okay, so identify the maximum or minimum value. So like I was saying, the maximum or minimum value is determined by what a is. So if a is positive, it will be a minimum, and if a is negative, it will be a maximum. Okay, so always remember that. If a is positive, it's a minimum. If a is positive, that means it's going like this. Okay, and you'll have a minimum. If a is negative, that means it's going like this, and you're going to have a maximum. So our minimum value is the y part of the vertex. So my vertex here is negative 2 and negative 2. Remember, change the sign of what's in the parentheses, keep the sign. And your minimum value is whatever the y part is. So the minimum, you have a minimum at negative 2. Okay, minimum. And we have the domain. The domain for a quadratic is always all real numbers. And the range, let's see here. If it's a minimum at negative 2, that means y has to be greater than or equal to negative 2. Okay? Had it been a maximum, we would have said y is less than or equal to negative 2. But since it's a minimum, that means y can be negative 2 or numbers bigger than negative 2. So there's my minimum, first answer, domain, second answer, and range, third answer. Number 10, what are the vertex and axis of symmetry? Again, very, very simple. Vertex, it's in vertex form, so as you can see, there's nothing in the parentheses, so the vertex will be 0 and then negative 6.5. And my axis is always the x part of the vertex, so x equals 0. For this one, vertex is negative 16, 0. Notice they're not adding or subtracting anything on the outside, so the y is 0. My axis is, again, x equals, what is the x part of the vertex? Negative 16. 12, 13, and 14, we're all doing the same thing. They want us to write it in vertex form. So again, I'm going to write the vertex form out. Y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. I have room to do 12 right here, and I'll put 13 over here. And let me mark out number 2 there, because I don't want you to get confused. Okay, so it gives me, for 12, the vertex, The vertex we know is h and k, and it gives me a point. So the point is x and y, and all you're doing is plugging in. So y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Need to know that for the test. So my y is 8 equals a, my x is 9 minus h is 8 squared plus k is 5. So that will be, if I subtract 5 over, I will get 3 equals a times 1 squared, which is 1. So basically you're just left with a equals 3. And so for your answer, you plug in your a, your h, and your k. You're plugging in a, h, and k. That's for your final answer. So y equals 3 times x minus 8 squared plus 5. That would be your answer for that one. Okay, 13 says suppose a parabola has an axis of symmetry at 1, a maximum at 3, and it passes through point 2, 1. Well, again, point 2, 1 is your x and y, your axis of symmetry is your h, and your maximum height is your k. Remember, the vertex is made of your axis of symmetry and your maximum or minimum value. Okay, so I plug in what I know. Y is 1 equals a is what I'm looking for. X is 2 minus 1 is my h squared plus 3. And we subtract 3 from both sides. That's negative 2 equals a times, and get 1 squared again. Again, 1 squared is just 1, so a equals negative 2. And then you plug it in to get your final answer. So my final answer will be y equals negative 2 times x minus h. Well, h was 1 squared plus k. K was 3 from your maximum. Okay. Moving on, number 14. Same type problem again. We'll write that equation one more time. I see my vertex. They don't tell me what it is. I just know that my vertex is. So what is my vertex here? I'm going to put it right here. It's 1, 2, 3 to the right and down 1, 2. So my vertex is 3, negative 2. A point. Okay. We just need another point. So I'm going to pick this one right here. I could have picked this one. It doesn't matter which one you pick. Okay, so I'm going to pick the first one right here on the left. So that's 2 down 4, 2, negative 4. There's h, there's k, there's x, there's y. Plug them in. So negative 4 equals a times x is 2 minus h is 3 squared. And then k is negative 2. And I add 2 over. Negative 2 equals a times negative 1 squared. Negative 1 squared would be positive 1. So negative 2 is a. And then you write your equation. Y equals, what was a? It was negative 2. X minus what was k? H is 3 squared. And then k is minus 2. There is your equation. Okay? So, 3 questions. All basically the same question. They're just giving you the information in a different way each time. All right. 15 says, which is the graph of y equals x minus 1 squared plus 1. So, I just noticed this. Nope. Okay, I thought it had 2 of the same answer, but it doesn't. So, we're looking for the graph. You can put this in your calculator, of course, just to show you kind of how to do that. Let me go to my picture, and I'm going to see if I can't. There we go. Hope you can see this. Hey, there we go. So y equals, what was that equation again? Done forgot it. X minus 1 squared plus 1. So you just go to your y equals, and you'll put parentheses x minus 1 squared, and then plus 1. Was it plus 1? plus 1. Okay, that's what I thought. Plus 1. And you hit graph. And if it focuses on there, you can see your answer. Bring it in a little closer. All right, that's what it should look like. Now, you don't have to do that. That is just a little way to check yourself. The way I'm going to do it is, since I know it's x minus 1 inside the parentheses and 1 on the outside of the parentheses, I know it's going to go right 1 and up 1. So A does not go, the vertex does not go right 1 and up 1. B, the vertex does not go right 1 and up 1. C, the vertex does not go up 1 and right 1. But D, the vertex does go right 1, up 1. Boom. D is your answer. All right, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Again, you can put these in your calculator if you would like. I have some graphs over here, so I'm just going to do 16 right here. 16 said y equals 3x squared. F of x equals 3x squared. It doesn't matter. F of x, y, same thing. Always make your table. When it's just y equals ax squared, you know your vertex will be 0, 0. And then you just pick some points on either side of 0. I'm just going to do 1 and negative 1. So when you plug that as in, 3 times negative 1 squared would be 3. And 3 times positive 1 squared is also 3. And so we have 0, 0, negative 1, 3, and positive 1, 3. And there you draw the best little parabola you can. Trying not to make it look like a V. It is a U. Okay? 17, y, f of x. I'll write it correctly this time. F of x equals 1/3 x squared. So here, again, it's still y equals ax squared form, okay? And when it's just y equals ax squared, you know your vertex is 0, 0 every time. I can pick points anything I want to. Like if I want to do 1 and negative 1, I could, but the problem with that is you get 1/3, which is kind of hard to graph. So I'm going to pick some points that will get rid of the fractions. To get rid of 3 on the bottom, I'm going to pick 3 and negative 3. Okay, and so when you plug that in, you get 1/3 times 3 squared. That equals 1/3 times 9, and 1/3 of 9 equals 3. So I get 3 and 3 as well there. Okay, 0, 0, 1, and 1/3. Like I said, I'm not even going to graph that one. I'll do 3 and 3, and 3, negative 3 and 3. And as you can tell, this graph is a little wider because my A was less than 1. Okay? So, there is our graph. Come up here. 18. 18, I'm going to scroll over. These it says identify the vertex and the axis of symmetry. So we not only have to graph it, we have to identify the vertex and axis of symmetry. So negative x squared minus 4x plus 1. F of x equals negative 4x squared minus x plus 1. Make sure that's right. Double check myself. And of course it's not. It was, sorry about that, negative x squared minus 4x plus 1. All right. So this is in standard form. Standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we have to do a little extra work because we have to find the axis of symmetry first. Okay, because we're making our table down here. And to get what the vertex is, we can't just look at it and know. We have to find it. So we have to find the axis first. So x is negative b over 2a. Remember, it's on your formula sheet. It's just not labeled axis. Okay, it's part of the quadratic formula on your formula sheet. So I plug in negative b over 2 times a. So in this problem, b would be negative 4, and a is negative 1. So that's positive 4 over negative 2 is negative 2. So that is my first x. Okay, For my second x, I didn't have 0 for the first one, so I always pick second for the second one, or 0 for the second one, and then I double the first one. So I multiply -2 times 2 would be -4 for the third one. To get your y, you plug it in. Y is going to be negative parentheses squared minus 4 times parentheses plus 1. And you plug in your -2 to figure out what your y is going to be. So -2, -2. Plug that in, you get -4 plus 8 plus 1. That is 5. So -2, 5. If you plug in 0 for here and here, those go away, and you're just left with 1. And you'll get the same thing if you plug in -4. You'll also get 1. Okay, so -2, 5, 0, 1, and -4, 1. And then we draw the best little parabola we can. Make it as curvy as possible. And we are done with the graph. Now we have to label the vertex and axis of symmetry. So my vertex, put it right here so you can see it. My vertex is -2 up 5. And my axis of symmetry would be right down the middle, right here. Okay. And so my axis of symmetry is x equals -2. It's always the x part of your vertex. So you got your vertex, -2, 5, axis of symmetry, x equals -2. 19, same problem, different numbers. So -2x squared plus 2x plus 1. F of x equals -2x squared plus 2x plus 1. Again, I got to find my axis. Okay, so again, it's x equals -b over 2a. What is b? B is 2. A is -2. So when we plug that in, we get -2 over -4, which is positive 1 over 2. The two negatives cancel. So for my table, I'm going to do 1/2 first. Plug that in. This should be fun. So f of 1/2 is -2 times 1/2 squared plus 2 times 1/2 plus 1. Put this in your calculator, you'll get 1/4, so that's -1/2 plus 1 plus 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, minus 1/2 is 1.5. So 1/2 and 1.5, I pick 0 for my second x, double the first one, we get 1. When you plug in 0, you will get positive 1 for the last 2 points. Okay, so we got 1/2, 1.5 would be about in there somewhere, 0, 1, and 1, 1. And that's not very big, but we just draw the best little parabola we can from that. Again, there's my vertex. Give me a little room to write it here. So my vertex is 1/2. And that'd be 3 over 2 or 1.5, however you want to write it. My axis of symmetry is this line that goes right through the middle of it, and it is x equals the x part of your vertex, 1/2. Okay? So those are the graphing problems with when you're written in standard form. And as always, you can put it in your calculator, saves time. Okay? 20. What is the equation in standard form of a parabola that models the values in the table? So I need to show this one on my calculator again. So let me go to my camera one more time. All right, here's my computer calculator. They give us a table, so I'm going to go to Stat, Edit, and I'm going to edit the table, L1 is the x's, L2 is the y's. So let me go back and see the table one more time. It's -2, 0, 4. So my L1 is already plugged in. L2 should be 6. Oops. 6, -2, and 54. So let me come back here. All right, so I've already got that one in. So 6 is L2, -2, and 54. Okay. L1 is your x's, L2 is your y's. After you have them in, you hit Stat. You want to go over to Calc, so you hit the right arrow. Scroll down to where it says Quad Reg, because we are finding the quadratic equation. And scroll down to where it says, I hit Enter and hit Calculate. And there is our equation. Okay? It tells you y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And then it gives you a, b, and c. And all you have to do is plug in. Okay? The r squared is telling me that, hey, since it's equal to 1, that this is a perfect quadratic, which we already knew that it was. Okay, they said it would be. So 3 is A, 2 is B, -2 is C. So I go back to my test, excuse me, and we just write the equation. So f of x equals 3x squared plus 2x minus 2. Done. 21, we do the same exact thing. They just give us the information in a different way. Instead of giving us a table, they give us points. We still have x's and we still have y's. Okay, and the x's will be your L1, the y's will be your L2. So let me go back to my calculator. All right, we got -2, 0, and 4. We'll go ahead and put these in my calculator while I have them here in front of me. So the x's don't change. The only thing that changes are the y's. So -18, -2, and -42. So let me show you how I'm changing it. Here's my calculator again. So L2 should be -18, -4, and I done forgot the last one, so I'm old, sorry. -18, -2, -42. I forgot the second one too. How about that? So -2 and -42. And again, I hit Stat, go over to Calc, scroll down to number 5, or you can just hit the number 5. Okay, you don't have to scroll. Scroll down to Calculate, and it gives me my A, B, and C. A is -3, B is 2, C is -2. Okay, so then you just write the equation. So back to my equations here, we're going to have A was -3x squared, B is 2, so plus 2x, and then C is -2. So it's very similar to number 20. The only difference is the 3 is negative this time. All right. 22, 23, it says what is the maximum or minimum value of the function? And then it asks what is the range. So to do these, all we're doing basically is finding the vertex, okay? And the maximum or minimum is the y part, okay, of the vertex. So don't forget that. Y part of the vertex, okay? So we need to find the vertex. So for 22, I'm going to do my axis of symmetry first because we got to find x before we can find y. So negative, let's see here, b is 12 in this problem. Divided by 2 times a is -2. So that's -12 over -4, which equals +3. So to get my maximum or minimum, I plug in 3. So before I go any further, I know this one's going to be a maximum because a is negative. That means it's going down, okay? It's going down for real. All right, so a is negative, so it has to be going down, therefore it has to be a maximum. So I'm about to find the maximum, and then I just plug in 3. So y equals -2 times 3 squared plus 12 times 3 minus 20. So y equals, let's see here, that'd be 3 squared is 9 times negative 2 is negative 18, plus 12 times 3 is 36, minus 20. And so negative 18 plus 36 is positive 18, and 18 minus 20 is negative 2. And again, that is my maximum. Okay, and then to find the range would be, since negative 2 is my maximum, that means y has to be less than or equal to negative 2. Because if negative 2 is as high as it can be, there's no way y can be more than negative 2, so it has to be less than or equal to negative 2. 23, same process. X equals negative b over 2 times a. B of number 23 is 8. A is 2. So negative 8 over 4. X is negative 2. Plug that in. Y equals 2 times negative 2 squared plus 8 times negative 2 minus 16. So that would be, see here, 4 times 2 is 8, minus 16, minus 16. This is, let's see here, negative 16 plus 8 would be negative 8, and then negative 8 minus 16 is negative 24. And again, since a here, a was positive, so I know it's going up, which means this has to be a minimum, okay? Negative 24 is my minimum, and since it's a minimum, I know the range has to be greater than that. So greater than or equal to negative 24 is the range. Okay. 24 and 25, it says what is the vertex form of the equation. So we are basically going to find the vertex and make it vertex form of the equation. Very, very simple. I know a equals 1. So I know a. I just got to find the vertex, h and k. Okay, I'm looking for h and I'm looking for k. And then we're just going to plug it into the vertex form, which we've talked about many times already. So x equals negative b over 2 times a. B in this problem is negative 2. A in this problem is 1. So that would be positive 1. And then, so that's h. And then I'll plug in positive 1 to get my k. So y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 12. That would be 1 minus 2 plus 12. So that's 11. That is my k. And then you just write the vertex form. I'm going to write it one more time. Y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So y equals a in my problem was 1, so I just get to leave. You can put 1 or you can just leave it blank. X minus h was 1 squared plus 11 is k. Done. Okay, for 25, same process. Negative b over 2 times a to get your axis of symmetry first. So that's 12 is b. Negative 1 is a. Negative 12 over negative 2. So 6. So for this problem, we have a is negative 1. H is the axis of symmetry, which we just found would be 6. And k is what we get when we plug it in. So negative 6 squared plus 12 times 6 minus 8. And y equals, let's see, negative 36 plus 12 times 6. I don't quite know what that one is. 12 times 6, I think it's 72, but I'm not sure. Yeah, 72. 72 minus 8. And if you put all that in your calculator, you get 28. So 28 is k. And so then it's just putting in a, h, and k. So y equals negative 1, negative parentheses, x minus 6 squared plus 28. Okay? 26 says, suppose you cut a square. A square into two rectangles is shown. Write an expression for the area of the square. So this side would be x plus y, and since it's a square, this side is also x plus y, and we're finding the area. So area is just length times width, which in this case the length is x plus y and the width is x plus y, and we just have to multiply those out to get the area. So x times x is x squared, x times y is plus xy plus xy plus y squared. And then we add our like terms to get our final answer. So x squared, xy plus xy is 2xy plus y squared. 27, I need a little room, so I'll kind of come over here and do 27. It's the same thing. It's the length of they give you the length of a rectangle, and the width length is 4x minus 5. The width is x plus 1. They want us to find a quadratic function equation to model the area. So again, we're finding area. Area of a rectangle again is length times width. So we're going to plug in 4x minus 5 times x plus 1, and we work that out. So 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times 1 is 4x. 5 times negative x is negative 5x. 5 times 1 is negative 5. And then we add our like terms. 4x squared minus x minus 5. That is the quadratic function equation that they asked for. And then they want us to evaluate it for x equals 2. So basically we just plug in 2 to figure this out. So 4 times 2 squared minus 2 minus 5. And always remember that evaluate word, that's just fancy word for plug in. Okay, so this would be 4 times 4 is 16 minus 2 minus 5. So my final answer, the area would be, let's see here, 16 minus 7 is 9. Okay, and that is square inches because it was area. All right, 28. Also need some room over here to work 28, so I'm going to put it right here. It says if an object is dropped from a height of 256 feet, the function h of t gives the height of the object after t seconds. When will the object hit the ground? So this is supposed to be a word problem, but it's not a true word problem because they give you the equation. All you're doing is plugging in here. Okay, so they want to know when will the object hit the ground. So we're looking for t, and we want to know when is t when it hits the ground. Well, the height of the object when it hits the ground is 0. So I plug in 0 for h of t. So I want to write the equation over here. H of t equals negative 16 t squared plus 256, and I'm going to plug in 0 for h of t and work it. So I'll subtract 256 from both sides. Negative 256 equals negative 16 t squared. Divide by negative 16. That will be, let's see here, 256 divided by 16. They're both negative, so the negatives go away. That would be positive 16 equals t squared, but I don't want t squared, I want t. So take the square root of that, you get plus or minus 4. But I know my time, I know it can't be negative because that would be going back in time. So my time for it to hit the ground would be 4 seconds. Again, I know it's seconds because it told me that the time was in seconds. Okay, it says it right there, t seconds. Okay, so 29 is very, very similar. It says how long does it take the ball to reach its maximum height? What is the ball's maximum height? So the time it takes for it to get, how long is time it takes to reach the maximum height. So the maximum, again, is your vertex of the quadratic here that they gave us. Okay, they give us this quadratic. It says its upward velocity, its upward initial velocity is 40 feet per second. So that's where the 40 is coming from. We are throwing it, apparently it's already 6 feet high because that's where the 6 comes from. Anyway, we're finding the vertex of this thing. Okay, we found lots of vertices on this test. So, same thing. X equals negative b over 2a. Now, understand, in this problem, t is x. T was x in 28 as far as normal. Okay, we usually use x and y. This one we're using h and t. So t is x and h is y in this problem. So negative b over 2 times a. B is 40. A is negative 16. So that's negative 40 over negative 32. And 40 divided by 32 is 1.25. So it's, for the first question, how long does it take to reach a maximum height? 1.25 seconds, okay? 1.25 seconds. That's the first answer. And then what is the maximum height? We just take 1.25 and plug it into the equation. So h equals negative 16 times 1.25 squared plus 40 times 1.25 plus 6. I'm going to put that in my calculator because that is a lot to do in your head. So plus 40 times 1.25 plus 6. 31. And it says it's in feet. So 31 feet high. That is number 29. Okay. The last two, 30 and 31, it says write an equation to model the data in the table. So we're back to figuring out what kind of equation it is, and then we're going to go to stat in our calculator and plug it in and use whichever type of equation that we need to. It might be linear, it might be quadratic, it might be exponential. So if you remember these, I don't know these are quadratics because it doesn't say they're doesn't say anything about a parabola. It doesn't say they are quadratic. It just gives you this model. So what we're going to do is first I always check to see if it's exponential. Remember, if it's exponential, they will be multiplying by the number to get the next number. So I'm going to say negative 8.1 divided by negative 2.7, and I figure out what that is. Divided by negative 2.7, and that's 3. Okay, and then I do negative 24.3 divided by negative 8.1, and that is also 3. And then I do negative 72.9 divided by negative 24.3, and guess what? It's 3. And last but not least, negative 218.7 divided by negative 72.9, that is also 3. So since I got the same number for all 3 of them, or all 4 of them, I should say, that means this is exponential, because basically I'm multiplying. I'm saying times 3 to get the next number. Okay, times 3 gets the next number, times 3 gets the next number, and I just keep going all the way down. So since it is exponential, remember this is the one we had trouble with our calculator with. If you remember, exponential form is y equals ab to the x power. A is just your initial number, so my initial number is negative 2.7. B is what you're multiplying by, that's 3 to the x power. Boom, done. Okay, 31. I try this again, so I'm going to divide 98 over 86. 98 divided by 86 is 1.139. Sorry about that. I don't know what I hit, but it messed up. All right, so 1.139. 110 divided by 98. 110 divided by 98 is 1.122. So those are not the same, so I know it's not exponential. Next thing I'm going to try is it linear? Linear. If it's linear, then the first differences are the same. So what is 98 minus 86? that is 12. And what is 110 minus 98? That is also 12. And 122 minus 110 is 12. And 134 minus 122 is 12. So since the first differences are all the same, I know it is linear. So it is linear. And you can plug it in your calculator. It says which type of function best models the data. It is linear, write an equation. So y equals, my slope would be the differences, the first differences. So 12x, and then my y-intercept is 86, so plus 86. So you can, just to show you, put it in your calculator. I'm going to stat, edit. L1 is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then L2 is 86, 98, 110, 122, 134. And so just so you can see it, because I know you didn't see me type it in, that's what it looks like, or what's what your calculator should look like. L1 is the x's, L2 is the y's. Now, since I know it's linear, I hit stat, I go over to calc, and I go to linreg, which is number 4. So if it's linear, I use number 4. If it's quadratic, I use number 5. If it's exponential, I use number 0 there. Okay, EXP reg. See it right there? Okay, right above my thumb. All right, but this one's linear, so I hit enter, calculate, and it tells me y equals ax plus b, and it tells me what a is, and it tells me what b is. So 12 is a, b is 86. Try to boost it so y'all can see that. All right, and as you can see on my problem, a was 12 and b was 86. So that'll do it. So hope this video helps you on your review. Study hard and stay above the line, and we'll see you next time.